When spring training resumes, all indications point to the Blue Jays flying north, heading home to Rogers Center in Toronto. Let's get instant analysis from MLB insiders Shai Davidi and at Dunedin, Blue Jays play-by-play radio voice Ben Wagner. Shai, let's start with you. Where are things at right now?
Hazel, still a little bit of limbo, but the Blue Jays are very much preparing as if they're going to be in Toronto. They do have a charter scheduled to travel from Dunedin up north to Canada on Wednesday, but that's all still pending government approval. So they're still waiting for official word. Players, some of them actually had flights booked Sunday, Monday. The Blue Jays told them, hold up, just wait a couple more days until we get that official notice from the government before you come here. But everyone is on alert to head north and report for duty for spring training here. Just still waiting for the government to give the official okay.
Ben, you have been visiting TD Ballpark on a regular basis. What have you been seeing in and around TD Ballpark?
Well, you know what? Recently, not a lot, because the Blue Jays shut down their spring training facility, and that included TD Ballpark. So since the positive test results came back in for COVID-19 with the Blue Jays players and staff, not a lot has been happening until today, when a big moving truck rolled up. And we saw some behind-the-scenes personnel start to load some boxes, bat bags. We saw a lot of golf clubs stacked up on the outside as well. Basically, everything that was left when spring training was shut down in the middle of March is being housed in this truck, waiting for the go-ahead so this truck can head north. And likewise, there's a Rogers Center truck waiting if the government steps in and says, this won't work. So that truck is ready to be packed. So the valuable hours being saved on both sides of the border right now in preparation for what will be a wind sprint to the finish once the opening day arrives.
So Shai, if they do get approval to come to Toronto, what can you tell us about the details and how all this is going to work?
Well, Hazel, we know a little bit of what the plan is. We don't know the whole plan just yet, but it would utilize the hotel attached to the Rogers Center. And by utilizing that, the Blue Jays could essentially create a little bubble. And there are indications that Blue Jay players may be asked to observe a 14-day quarantine once they arrive. They would be able to go down to the field, which is in the same building as the hotel. So in essence, they would be able to replicate what is a quarantine without going into the community, thereby satisfying a government request of any traveler who arrives into the country that there's a mandatory 14-day quarantine period. So that would be the picture of what it would look like. They'd be very restricted in terms of their movement as to not risk any potential spread of coronavirus that may exist among the team into the community. And I think in doing those pieces, you get an idea of how they may sort of parallel what the NHL proposed to the government and ultimately got approved.
Shai, if is a big word. Ben, if they do get approval, what if they don't get approval and things kind of go haywire and they've got to go to Dunedin? What can you tell us about the situation there? I understand as of Sunday, over 8,500 new COVID-19 cases. What do you know about how safe it might be there?
Well, the Blue Jays are going to take extra precautions, much like they would north of the border, even more so when they come south of the border, if Dunedin is the landing spot for spring training 2.0, and then likely maybe the regular season as well. It's a very scary time to be in Florida. This is one of the hot spots in the United States and rapidly growing throughout the last couple of weeks. New record numbers of cases being reported and positive tests being reported on Wednesday and on Friday, then shattering the record on both days through this weekend. It's very scary. And also what's scary about this, maybe more of that elderly population that was pushed into hiding at the start of this. A lot of the younger cases that are coming out now, especially in the state of Florida, have to deal with a pocket of people in their 20s all the way into their 30s and 40s. So this is a much different demographic as well. And when you hear those numbers, guess where that lands? Right in the wheelhouse of where players' ages fall as well. So listen, this virus is not discriminating whatsoever in the state of Florida. It's a very, very difficult situation to navigate. And I think anybody coming to the state of Florida should be on high alert.
Shai, Major League Baseball teams were required to release their player pools on Sunday. What was most notable about the Toronto Blue Jays group of players?
Hazel, they had a lot of the names that we were expecting, but the Blue Jays ended up following a trend that a number of teams went with in naming their player pools, which is including a few of their top prospects from the lower levels in the minor leagues. So for the Blue Jays, that's someone like a Jordan Groshans, Alec Manoah, Simeon Woods Richardson, Alejandro Kirk, some names of guys who probably wouldn't factor for the Blue Jays under normal circumstances, given where they are in their career. But since the Blue Jays want to make sure that they're getting some sort of action, some sort of chance to develop and grow this year, they're on that list of players. The other thing that was especially notable is that teams could name 60. The Blue Jays held it to 58. So they've got 2 spots open, and one of them, in all likelihood, would go to Austin Martin, their first-round pick, should the Blue Jays end up signing him.
And I really like that, Shai, because they leave a little wiggle room on the back end of that 60 player pool. And it's also a chance for these younger players to get more reps in a major league setting with their teammates. They can be in front of evaluators and they can perform in front of coaches. Plus, this then gets them 3 extra weeks of training before spring training 2.0 then rolls into the season. And those players that are left behind likely will be ticketed for Buffalo. And that looks like it's going to be the backup spot for the Blue Jays. If everything goes according to plan and they can have games in the regular season happen at Rogers Center, Buffalo in proximity and in all likelihood lines up to be the kind of the behind the scenes work where extra coaches and these players that are held over, including a lot of the top prospects, will continue to get their reps while the season rolls on.
Ben Wagner there in Dunedin, Shai Davidi safe at home in Toronto. Thank you for your insight. So when training camps resume, the Blue Jays could be in Toronto, and only fitting on July 1st, it'll be Canada Day.